Greetings, gamers! I've been working on a new game called Incoming. Incoming is a 3D VR missile defense game. Protect your cities with a wide assortment of defenses against waves of warheads, bombers, zeppelins, and epic bosses. Wishlist today on Steam. Link is in the description. Greetings, Starfarers, and welcome to another episode of Starfield. I am Cobalt Thorium, and in this episode, we're going to continue on this mission called Executive Level, and we're going to try to convince the board to ditch the neuroamp, and what was the other thing? To reinstate... What's her name? I forget. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and talk to some folks, try to convince them of what to do.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome.
I was told to use the internal neuroamp to make sure that the board votes to acquire Infinity Ltd. That's the other thing, is I don't want to acquire Infinity. Yes, but I refuse to use the internal neuroamp to ensure votes to acquire Infinity Ltd. Masako wants me to guarantee that the votes go her way. Or, of course, I'm the one she's trusting to make things happen. If I tell him this, I wonder how he'll respond. Let's try it.
That blasted tech. If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened.
I agree. Project Dominion is essential to future success. It has risks, but nothing you can't handle. I disagree with that. Or, we saw firsthand how dangerous the tech is. It should never go to market. Or, you were against Project Dominion from the start. Or, don't tell me you actually disagree with Masako on something. Alright, we'll do questions first. I kind of like leading out with this one, so we'll go with it.
It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research.
You were against Project Dominion from the start?
Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch.
I mean, I'm not even that concerned about the corporation. The corporation might do fine with such tech. It's too much power in the hands of too few, and what that could do to society, really. So I'm gonna say, we saw firsthand how dangerous that tech is. It should never go to market.
You read my mind. Let's just hope Masako and the others see it that way. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd., we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuroamp might cause.
Then vote against Infinity. I'm with you. It's a big risk. The acquisition is worth the risk. I know your team can handle it, or do you think it's the right time to acquire Infinity Ltd? I think we should let it die.
Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it.
I'm going to say, then vote against Infinity.
I hate to agree, but you're right. And I'm sure Masako will understand my reasoning. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
Interesting. All right, that's 2 down. How do I get out of here? Here we go. There's somebody over here. You know what? I'm gonna save scum this in case something goes horribly wrong. I don't want to have to redo it all.
So much work to do.
You know what? We don't know a lot about Alexis Price. Of all the characters that we've talked to so far, she's kind of the one that we've interfaced with the least.
If you need something, make it quick. I'd like to make sure my arguments are solid before this meeting.
Oh, she looks concerned. Look at her face. Wow. Good job on whoever set up the, what do they call them? Blend shapes and stuff for the face to have that come through. I heard you're not a fan of acquiring Infinity Ltd. Or, I'm just here to ensure that you make the right decision at the meeting. Or Misako would really appreciate it if you'd back her on acquiring Infinity Ltd. Or I'm making sure my best interests are met. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to plant the seed right off the bat. I heard you're not a fan of acquiring Infinity.
You heard correct. I've every reason to believe that Infinity Ltd. Is the Pandora's box of corporations.
So we could persuade and say, legal issues aside, the pros of acquiring Infinity Ltd. Far outweigh the cons. I disagree with that. I think it's an incompetently run organization, and it's full of illegality. Like, it's basically a criminal organization. You're bringing all that on. They don't have any morals at all. But then again, I mean, neither does Ryujin, does it? So, or you're right, the burden for all departments would be too extreme. Or, what are the details on why you don't want to acquire Infinity Ltd.?
I can guarantee that Infinity Ltd. Was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience.
I agree completely. You're right, the burden for all departments would be too extreme.
I mean, I could handle it as well as any other high-profile situation. But the real question is, do I want to? And the answer to that is no.
The internal neuroamp would make handling any situation a breeze, or if you want a real legal nightmare, I'd say the internal neuroamp fits the bill. Okay, that's what I'm currently leaning towards. I'm curious on your thoughts on the internal neuroamp. Or have you been preparing for having the internal neuroamp on the open market? We'll ask this question.
Unfortunately, half my department's been poring over documentation, while the other half is writing up what legal guidance they can.
So we will plant the seed on this too. So I guess she's the lead counsel of this company. If you want a real legal nightmare, I'd say the internal neuroamp fits that bill.
Don't even get me started. First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage.
Wow, I like her. She Jeez. Okay. Is there anything positive you can think of about the internal neuroamp? Or why dislike the internal neuroamp versus regular neuroamps? Yeah, that's a good question. We'll go with that.
Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused. But that's why there are laws regarding improper usage.
All right, we'll grab the other question. Is there anything positive you can think about the internal neuroamp?
Tech like this only has good applications when you have complete control over who uses it. Once that tech hits a market, open or private, that control is gone. And not only that, the tech is out there to be advanced or modified by anyone who might get their hands on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm going to say agreed. The internal neuroamp should have never seen the light of day.
Well, I'm both glad and surprised to hear the one person who has one say that. Misako is lucky to have you at her disposal, you know? You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful. But now, I really do need to get back to my notes.
Hold on one second. Okay. I just want to check the volume levels real quick. Make sure that it's actually picking up the in-game audio. So, at this point, we don't have the votes.
If operations starts to bore you, let me know.
You make a perfect lab rat for the R&D team.
We're gonna have a hard time getting her to vote against the internal neuroamp. Oh, I don't really know what his position's gonna be. Who's this? Okay. Genevieve Monahan.
Is Masako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side?
Yeah? Maybe. That depends whose side you're on. Or, I didn't realize there were sides to take. Or, I'm here on my own. Or, why do you think Masako sent me? Questions first.
Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be.
Maximum. I like this. Maybe. That depends on whose side you're on. Yeah.
Well, you can let Masako know to rest easy. It just so happens that her agenda lines up with mine. We just need to grab Infinity Ltd. while it's got the public's full attention.
Oh.
I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light.
It's free now, but it will leave Ryujin in financial and legal trouble. Oh, right, so I'm gonna have to manipulate her. Going to the rescue of all those innocent workers will really look good for us. Or what's the benefit of acquiring Infinity Ltd? Or there must be a downside to acquiring Infinity Ltd. What is it? Let's go with that.
The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too.
What's the benefit of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them.
Oh, I can't leave? Oh no. Oh no. Okay. I actually don't want to manipulate her. I wish that there was a non-manipulation negative option. It's definitely missing here. What I would really like to see is like the maximum. Yeah, the right. Yeah. What was I trying to say? Okay, so you know what? Yeah, I would like to try to convince them without using the device, if possible. So, but it doesn't seem like that's an option. So I'm going to say coming to the rescue of these innocent workers will really look good for us.
I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year.
You know, if you really want to keep Ryujin in the public's good graces, there's one big thing to consider. What is this? I'm actually here to discuss more than just Infinity Ltd. Or if you have bigger things to think about than Infinity Ltd. Okay. Hold on. I'm getting scrambled here. You know what? I really wish that this worked right. Oh my god, it's so annoying. You know what? Maybe I'll just use the arrow keys. Okay. You know, if you really want to keep Ryujin in the public's good graces, there's one big thing to consider. Or I'm actually here to discuss more than just Infinity Ltd. Okay. Or you have bigger things to think about than Infinity Ltd. when it comes to the future. Or is the public all you really care about?
The consumer is our lifeblood. So capturing their wants and desires? Of course, it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't.
So is she like the marketing department head, maybe? Yeah, so let's go with you have bigger things to think about than anything else you do when it comes to the future.
Sounds like you've got a bit of your own agenda going on. Well, let's hear it.
The internal neuroamp, that research should be banned. We should be exploiting the internal neuroamp at every chance we get. The internal neuroamp is a game changer, but needs strict guidance. Or have you considered just how powerful the internal neuroamp is? I usually go with questions first, but that I don't like how that's worded. It might give the implication that we're pro neuroamp. Like, just imagine the amount of power we could have. I'm gonna say the research should be banned.
The possible backlash on tech like this is not lost on me. However, the internal neuroamp will define the next era of tech, with reunion at the forefront. It's not an opportunity you just walk away from.
Do you really think a product that can manipulate unknowing citizens will be accepted by the public?
Not when you word it like that. But a product that can settle disputes or help broaden someone's point of view? Then you really have something that consumers will buy into. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
Wait, so she's undecided? I guess we did not resolve her... Because it looked like it was still the same value for the... Well, okay. Alright, we need...
Hey there.
I don't like how this is going.
And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope.
Are those the actual side effects? Or, nah, I'm used to waking up in strange places. Or, I'm not here about my health. Or, I feel great. No side effects, as far as I can tell. Well, ask the question, are those actual side effects?
What? No, of course not. They're purely theoretical.
I'm gonna say, nah, I'm used to waking up in strange places.
Reminds me of my undergrad days. I mean, I assume you're joking, right? I'll have to get that documented and we'll definitely want to run a few tests if not. So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp.
This internal neuroamp changes everything, Vina. You're gonna be famous. Or, Vina, this tech is dangerous. No one should have this type of power. Or it's just another useless thing rattling around in my head. Or it gets the job done. I'm gonna say, I think it's dangerous.
I hope you're not actually suggesting that the technology I spent years working on and perfecting never sees the light of day. This is groundbreaking work. My life's work.
You're a scientist, hear me out. Just look for it from every angle. Or, if fame is more important than your morals, that's on you. Oh, wow. Or, I'm gonna ask that all the research be shelved at the meeting. Or do you really not see the downside of this device at all?
Of course I do. But there are amazing things Dominion can be used for, too. Humanity has always created dangers, and we've always policed them as well. The internal neuroamp will be no different. It just needs to find its place.
Alright, we're gonna try to persuade her.
Fine, fine. Make your case.
+5 research methods. So I could say, if the internal neuron backfires, your reputation will be ruined. Or, I know you've covered all your bases in research, you know the data against it is there. Or, people will reverse engineer your work. We're going to have a lot more casualties like the clinic. I'm going to go for the one with the caption, because it seems like it's going to be higher because of the caption. Because we know something about it.
Oh, there is adequate data to back what you're saying. More than adequate. Well, this conversation's made me feel like a proper monster. But you're right. In a perfect world, tech like this is used for good. But this world is far from perfect.
Okay, you're not a monster. You just got lost in the excitement of discovering something new. But next time, look at the big picture. The implications of the internal neuroamp are obvious, or especially on the corporate level. we'll sympathize with her at this point. You're not a monster.
It is. It really is. For years, my only focus has been, is this possible? And then, how do I make it work? I never stopped to consider if it was right, or what it would mean. I guess it'll be up to a vote either way. It's not on the meeting agenda, so I assume you'll bring it up yourself? We just have to hope the others will see reason. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be?
There's bound to be something inspiring or new in their research. So that's research methods. I don't want to acquire them, so if we acquire them, it'll be fun to see how they tried to recreate your work. Or, you should vote against acquiring Infinity Ltd. Their research only serves as an example of what not to do. I agree with that. Or, do you have any strong opinions about acquiring Infinity Ltd?
I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research.
Excuse me. You should vote against acquiring Infinity Ltd. Their research only serves as an example of what not to do.
Wow, you're no fun. I guess there's no point in examining their failures. Besides, I don't want any of their research to steer me in a bad direction. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
So we have no... Yeah, so the marketing lady over there, she did not... We do not know how she's going to vote on the internal neuron. That's interesting. It never registered.
You're looking interesting today.
I actually really like that. That there's one that's just like a black box, you know? Alright, so Lyndon Calderi?
Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available.
I'm happy to help with any questions that you might have. Or good, I want to speak to you about the meeting as well. Or I think I'm hardly qualified to help the board meeting decisions. I think I'm hardly qualified to help the board making decisions, I think it should be. Help the board meeting decisions. Okay. That's because I'm really the best source available. I'm going to flatter his ego a little bit and say, good, I wanted to speak to you about the meeting as well.
An efficient exchange, then. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity Ltd. Throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why?
Of course. If we can save the jobs of thousands of people, we should do it. Or Infinity is filled with incompetent workers. Taking them on is a liability we don't need. I agree with that. The majority of the workers are innocent. They don't know what's going on. Or what makes you think I actually had contact with enough of them to know? Questions first.
You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours.
Maybe we shouldn't have said that. Alright, I'm going to say Infinity is filled with incompetent workers. Taking them on is a liability that we do not need.
Your statement confirms my suspicions. As much as Genevieve believes the public perception would boost overall sales, there's no way to know the repercussions of their financials. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation?
I'm thinking it was handled... I think it was well handled. It proves how capable Masako is at handling any situation. I wonder if we could get, like, promoted to be the CEO of this company. There's a lot of folks here who seem to take our opinion with a lot of reverence. It was a sloppy and a mole should have never been possible in the first place. We caught the mole. I'd say it was a success. I'm going to go with it was sloppy.
Expand on that, if you can.
Masako should have fired Dalton a long time ago. We never should have had a mole in the first place. I kind of like Dalton now, though, after our last talk. A strong CEO focuses on prevention, so a situation like this never happens. Or Masako put too much trust in Dalton. A CEO needs to ensure that their leaders are doing their job at all times. I wonder if we can get Masako replaced with Imogen. I'm going to say a strong CEO focuses on prevention.
An excellent point. Why react and repair when you can prevent a situation altogether? I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been.
The internal neuroamp. Tech like that is dangerous and should be banned. Or nothing I can think of. See you at the meeting. Or what are your thoughts on the internal neuroamp? We'll start with that.
It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come. There's no doubt it's our future.
I kind of expected him to take this angle. But I think the votes are secure for us to ban the neuroamp. So, well, let's talk about it and see if we can convince him. The internal neuroamp, tech like that is dangerous and should be banned.
It's only dangerous to those who can't afford one. Hence the added motivation that will bolster sales.
So I can manipulate him and say, and when a rival discovers how to override it, we'll have pure chaos on our hands. Or fine, once the lawsuit hits, you'll be drowning in compensation payouts. Or can you guarantee all of your employees can afford one? What? I don't, he didn't even imply that. That's a stupid question, but it is a question, and we do have a questions first policy.
The guarantee depends on if we're willing to make the financial commitment to outfitting each employee with at least a shielding component. A cost that's not lost on me as CFO.
Alright, I'm gonna say fine once the lawsuit's hit. You'll be drowning in compensation payouts.
It's possible. But with Alexis and Genevieve driving the restrictions and presentation of such a product, it's also highly unlikely. This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
Alright, so I think we have our votes. This will be fun. Welcome, welcome everybody. Come on in. Come on, take a seat. Hello, Alexis. Hello, Dalton. Hello, Genevieve. Oh, there's so many people. You talk to everybody here? We only neuroamped one of them. And only then because it was ironic
all right,
and interesting.
everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd.
My stance on this is obvious. It's a classic rescue and rehabilitation story. We announce our intentions, and the media outlets will eat it up.
Arguments?
Infinity doesn't deserve redemption. Let them rot. Or, purchasing Infinity will create extra work and headaches that no one wants. Or, Infinity Ltd. Name is soured with the public. We don't want to be associated with it. Or, as the one who's seen what Infinity has done firsthand, I think it's a bad idea. I'm going to go with... Oh, man, these are all different... Many different reasons for this. They're all good, actually. I'm going to go with the soured with the public. I should have saved beforehand.
There's pretty much no technological benefit here. We've always been ahead of Infinity Ltd.
We should be crushing our competition, not rescuing them from their own flaws. This is a weak decision, Masako, and you know it. In fact, I move that Masako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with.
We only lied about Imogen so Ularu would incriminate herself, or Imogen is just another victim. Ularu set her up. Or Imogen is innocent. She played a vital role in helping us expose Ularu. Or so we had to lie to get the job done. I'm sure you're all familiar with those methods. We're going to go with Imogen is innocent. She played a vital role in helping us expose Ularu.
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Masako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
You're finished here, Ularu. Or enjoy unemployment, or you're going away for a long time. Well, she's not going to jail, though, is she? Well, maybe for corporate espionage. I don't know. I mean, there's probably laws against that in...
I'm losing patience.
Or, I'm sorry, Ularu. We'll say you're finished here, Ularu. That seems like the most noble way, the gentlest way to put it to her. Well, except for I'm sorry, but we're not sorry. Hold on. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. You're finished here, Ularu. We'll go with that.
Security. Escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right. Back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Acquiring Infinity Ltd could have brought significant growth and increased our public perception. I won't argue with the board's decision, but the long-term benefits far outweigh the short-term issues, and benefiting Ryujin is our top priority. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up?
I believe work on the internal neuroamp should be shelved, or the internal neuroamp is too dangerous to market, or I move to postpone production on the internal neuroamp. I'm going to say I believe that work on the internal neuroamp should be shelved. This one here, too dangerous to market, implies that we're still going to make it and keep it in-house.
I'm waiting.
So we're going to go with shelved. I believe work on the internal neuroamp needs to be shelved.
The internal neuroamp is a key component of Ryujin Industries' success for the next 10 years, if not more. Why would we shelve it after we've finally perfected it?
It takes away a person's free will. It's not right. I definitely agree with that. For the moment the public learns about it, no one is going to trust anyone anymore, especially Ryujin. The internal neuroamp is basically a mind control device. It should be banned. Or there are too many moral repercussions that need answers before it's safe to market. I agree with all of these once again. I'm gonna so these folks are not terribly moral, so I think that trying to appeal to their morality is not going to work. So these middle two are probably the two best. I'm going to say the internal neuroamp is basically a mind control device that should be banned.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but she's right. Regardless of the pros, the cons are too morally and ethically irresponsible to move forward with.
Agreed. Not to mention the security risks.
Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion?
Aye.
All against? Vina, prep Project Dominion for storage. Any other matters to bring forth? None?
Uh-oh.
This concludes our order of business for today.
Interesting. So I actually kind of like how this went. Like, we actually were able to affect change in this world, which seems like it doesn't happen very often in this game. I feel like this game should be more like a BioWare game in that you can actually make changes to the world. And it seems like most of the time it's just like, oh, should we make this change? Yes or no? And then you say, like, no. And it's like, well, we decide yes anyway. But here, it seems like we finally had an opportunity where we could, like talk to these people, try to convince them. And it was very satisfying. So kudos to the end of this mission. I did not like the trying to use the internal neuroamp. It felt very buggy and just like poorly designed, but at least this last part was kind of cool. So now we'll talk to Masako.
Well, not the decisions I had in mind, but it's quite clear where you stand.
Maybe now you see why the internal neuroamp is dangerous. Except we didn't use it. We only used it on Ularu, who got dismissed before her vote. So we did not get to this conclusion at all using the neuroamp. Where the board agrees the decisions are for the best, or I tried, things didn't go as planned, or I've never been one to do as I'm told. I'm going to go with the board agrees the decisions are for the best.
Thousands of people will soon be unemployed, and our greatest asset is now on the shelf. I fail to see how these decisions are for the best. The truth remains, Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson, and we exposed a traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin.
If that's your way of saying thank you, you're welcome. Or, I was just doing my job. Or, thank you. That's quite a compliment coming from Ryujin's CEO. Or I hope that means I'll be getting a raise. Let's butter up her ego a little bit here. Thank you. That's quite a compliment coming from Ryujin's CEO.
It's well earned and deserved. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time.
It was nothing I'm not used to. I think this was our first, like, corporate espionage dive, so I'm not going to say that because it's not quite true. Or whatever it takes to keep Ryujin on top. Or no pressure at all. These are the types of jobs I live for. Or how often does Ryujin have somebody turn against the company? Well, that's a good question.
Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved.
All right, so I don't really agree with the top one, and I don't really agree with the bottom one, so I'm going to go with whatever it takes to keep Ryujin on top.
My thought exactly. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now,
I hope she's
as
back.
promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it.
That's an understatement, or thank you. Or I'm not really sure that this job is for me. Or give me the details of my new position. Let's go with that.
As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
All right. Executive level. Let's see if Masako has anything else to say.
I'll need to schedule a few follow-ups after all this. Excuse me, I have a lot of business to attend to now.
Wow, a lot of stuff going on.
Remember, shelving the internal neuroamp is only a temporary measure. We will revisit when the time is right.
Oh, geez, I hope not.
I don't believe we have anything to discuss at the moment.
Wow, what's with all the talk things? All the new activities coming up.
It's a shame about Infinity Ltd. So much wasted potential.
So much wasted liability.
Should I need you, I'll send for you.
Let's see if she's got anything else to say.
Operative?
I think that's probably it.
Shouldn't you be on your way?
Wow, she's got a lot.
The meeting has left me with a lot to consider. I always thought Ularu's ambition would be her weakness.
Wow.
I always thought Ularu's ambition would be her weakness.
Let's just try one more.
Shouldn't you be on your way?
Okay, we've definitely exhausted that.
Don't cause any trouble. Leave me be. I'm on duty.
All right, cool. So, sorry for the coughing and stuff like that, and the clearly stuffy nose. I've got some allergies going on here. Springtime, everything's budding. All right. So I think we should probably wrap up this episode here. And then the next episode, I want to just go through and see what everybody says. Hopefully that'll be super quick. And then I kind of want to get into... So we've kind of finished off the Ryujin quest line, it appears. There's one thing that we've had for a while that has kind of interested me, and that's this distress call in the Charybdis system. So maybe in the next episode, after we talk to everybody, we'll go ahead and do that and see what's up with that. We probably also need to go back to the lodge and grab Andrea. That is if we want a companion character to help us out and help us carry inventory and as fire support, which I think we do want. So I will go back and grab her too, and it seems like they're gonna all want to talk to us anyway. You know, there must be something going on here. So maybe we can talk to Hadrian too, although I don't know if I trust her. Although she's on Mars, so that would be kind of out of the way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm split on what to do, so I'll figure out exactly what to do. But I think we'll wrap up this episode here. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you have, please like, maybe comment, maybe subscribe, and please share. New episodes every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, US and Canada. I'm Cobalt Thorium, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.